Hey guys, Chris here. I want to do a video today talking about how porn addiction is running away from yourself, watching porn in those low moments. You're not facing yourself in terms of when the feelings of loneliness come up, the feelings of rejection, perhaps even boredom. And these emotions are important to sit with because they contain valuable information, valuable data to change your life. You know, when you feel negative emotion, it's normally telling you something. And I think every time you replace a negative emotion, even though it can be quite a dark, lonely place, with high dopamine activity and going straight to the positive is kind of like similar to a drug addiction, which it can be and is very addictive. But in a way, your progress is on hold, your life is on hold. And if you're feeling the loneliness, you're feeling the rejection, these are important emotions to sit with instead of running away from. I remember when I went to Eastern Europe a few times and quite a few years ago, and I would be feeling quite lonely, and maybe I would go to watch porn because perhaps I'm in a new place on my own, and I like to go there because it was like a cheap apartment and the food was cheap, and it'd be good to see a new place. But when I arrived, maybe it's a new country, new culture, I would maybe just feel very lonely and just end up watching porn and then eating, going to McDonald's, eating, and just going on this dopamine wave. And if I'd have sat there and felt the loneliness, maybe the next day or 2 days later, I would have got up and I would have left. But instead, maybe I stayed there for a week and, you're watching porn, you're running away from yourself, you're watching entertainment on your phone, on your computer. So you never know, you're just on this loop, you're in this dopamine loop. And I feel like this happened to me a couple of years ago or even a year ago as well, similar feelings. And it just made me realize, like, that time there is no real growth. And the recent videos on semen retention have shown that I've had to face myself, because you just have to sit in a room on your own if you're feeling lonely, especially if you don't want to face anything. The feeling of rejection as well. Perhaps you've been on a date, or you're asked someone out, or something happens and you feel rejected and you would go to porn. Again, it's important to sit with that feeling of rejection, get used to feeling the rejection, the emotional pain, will toughen you up. And, and it'll make you stronger. And also it's about knowing your own standards. I remember a while back, I used to go on so many dates with women, or on the first date, and I'd always try and go on a second date or whatever. And it was like, oh, I didn't get a second date here. But then it's like, it made me more aware of my standards, the more I began to feel it, to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going, why should I always feel rejection? Maybe this person is not right for me, so the more you become aware of your standards, and as you're feeling that rejection, you're like, is this person someone I really liked? Okay, I feel the rejection. She was really pretty and she had all these great things going for her. Okay, I want to become stronger now. I want to change this about my life. So these emotions are giving you great data. They serve a purpose. Everything in the universe serves a purpose, everything that you feel, instead of just running away from it. And then if you keep running from the rejection, you realize that you're not really growing, and then watching the porn and all this stuff is just keeping you on this downward spiral. And that's probably what changes your standards. And the modern dating for men sometimes is like, okay, I'm going to go out with this girl, I'm going to try and sleep with her. And it's like, well, what about her? Like, what's she like, does she match your values? I think back in the day, I could imagine, like, sometimes going on a second date or third date or whatever and trying to, maybe sleep with them, but I didn't really like them, So it's like, guys can end up in this cycle where sex is everything, which again is from the porn. It's like, rather than happening in a few minutes in a porn movie, it's like it's harder in real life, and you can't face that rejection, sometimes it's easier to watch the porn. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, is just as well with standards, is and the more you feel the rejection, the loneliness, you become more comfortable on your own with the loneliness. You maybe even realize why you're lonely. You might even go out to meet people. But if you're just watching porn and you're on this dopamine rush, you're not going out to meet people. And the rejection is, yeah, you're toughening up to become a better guy, to maybe attract your ideal woman, and also just being aware of what's rejection, and also your standards. If you keep going out with women who are not for you, and you don't have standards, you probably, they're rejecting, they probably got more of a choice, so they're rejecting you. And, when people say it's their loss, because yeah, it's about you valuing yourself. So yeah, the overall point is, yeah, just when the next urge comes up to watch porn, just really try and sit with it. A feeling of loneliness in the evening, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, you're going to go to bed not too long after, and you wake up and it's a new day. Like, that's what I found recently, is you can be in a great mood, wake up the next day, you're in a low mood. You're in a low mood, you wake up the next day in a good mood. So these feelings are always temporary, and they're there to teach you something, and if you're just watching porn and going in the dopamine wave, and then keep watching it, and then on this cycle, is your life is kind of just is on hold. Maybe you're learning something, but really slowly, and that's not really how life's supposed to. We feel the positive emotions fully, we should be able to feel the negative emotions fully as well. And most people are obviously addicted to some sort of drugs or something, whether that's alcohol. And then if you can come off all of that and just sit with feelings, no matter what comes up, that is part of the human experience. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you all today, and I hope you enjoyed this video.